Did you know that TikTok users now spend more time each month watching videos than YouTube users? Let me hit you with another big stat. TikTok is on the verge of toppling Netflix in the US in terms of video consumption. According to new research by Insider Intelligence, adult users will spend an average of nearly 56 minutes per day on TikTok this year, which is 6 minutes less than the time spent watching Netflix. And if you skew younger with the research, TikTok users aged 18 to 24 are watching the equivalent of a full-length comedy movie on the app every day. Now, I get asked a lot by my clients and others, should I even be on TikTok? And my answer is pretty much always the same. It's important to treat the app as you would any social media platform. If your desired target audience uses TikTok, well, maybe you should consider producing content for the channel if it makes sense to do so and will help you progress towards your communications and commercial goals. But I think there's another potential reason to use TikTok, and that is if you want to sharpen up your short form video skills, and they are terrific skills to have today, especially from a personal branding point of view, then TikTok is a great testing ground. Otherwise, you might simply want to maintain a watching brief on the platform while keeping your efforts focused on other reputation building communications activities. But let's say you're very interested in being on TikTok and you plan to give the video app a red hot go. Okay, lots of questions here. What content works best on the platform? How often should you publish videos? Do you run out of ideas if you've got to publish a lot? Do some videos perform better than others? How long do you need to spend creating video content? And importantly, how hard is it to crack the TikTok algorithm? In short, is TikTok good for my personal brand? And does it help my business? To help us get our heads around these questions, I've invited Sally Prosser onto the show. Sally is a public speaking coach who helps leaders, entrepreneurs, and professionals to unleash the magic of their voice. She has been on TikTok for a number of years now and has amassed nearly 350,000 followers and 4.4 million likes of her videos. As Sally says, nobody ever changed the world by staying quiet. Let's hear from Sally now. Sally Prosser, welcome to the show. Great to have you on the Reputation Revolution.
Wonderful to be here, Trevor. Thanks for having me.
Got a lot to talk to you about TikTok, and we're going to get deep into that because you've been doing a fair lot of videos on it. But also, I want to, it's also about performing and getting out there and putting yourself out there in confidence. So there's a sort of an allied topic that we can bring into the conversation. So I think there's going to be a bit of a robust discussion.
Looking forward to it. I'm here for it.
All right, well, let's start off with TikTok. But before we do, just tell us, the listeners, a little bit about yourself, because you're doing a lot of things. But, I said in the intro, you're a voice and public speaking coach, but that can mean different things to different people. So walk us through what you're doing at the moment.
Yeah, it can mean a lot of different things to different people. I remember when I first started as a voice coach, people would say, oh, like singing. And I was like, oh, no, it's speaking. So, yes, the business can be best described as four main parts. So it's about finding your voice. So it's what is that inner voice and what are the blocks that can hold people back in that way? You know, the fear of being seen, fear of being heard, worried what people will think, all of that. Then I do work around voice production. So when people say I speak too fast or too nasal or I want to be louder or, people are telling me that I'm not understood in meetings. And so we work on articulation and voice quality. Then, of course, we work on the messaging part. So it's, Sal, what the hell do I say? I've been asked to speak on stage. What do I say? And so we work through crafting the speech.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's a lot involved around actually showing up, speaking at events, going on podcasts, showing up on social media, all of that. So I guess it's a one-stop shop for anything voice expression related.
Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that expression. Excuse the pun. I love it.
I don't think I've ever used it. I think there you go. You heard it here first.
And Sally, you've also got a background in the media as well.
That's right. Yeah. So I started out as a speech and drama teacher when I was a teenager, then went into radio news reporting. When I was younger, that was a lot of early morning starts. And then I went into television news reporting and then public relations. Yeah. So lots of work in the media. And I suppose for me, there was so much use of my voice and the way that you communicate and the way that you sound, and also dealing with rejection as well. I think the media was really good training ground to develop a very thick skin and not care what people think. Good for TikTok too.
And PR as well. You get a bit of rejection in PR as well.
You certainly do. And I was a spokesperson for a water and sewage company, so I was literally talking shit like for my job. So it wasn't, you try to get things on the 6 p.m. news. If you can get something sewage related, then you're doing pretty well.
Indeed. And you hope it's for all the right reasons, not the wrong reasons as well.
Some days, yes, some days no.
Awesome. And you've been a convert. You're probably a reasonably early convert to TikTok. I think you joined TikTok in late 2019, but really got going in it in 2020. Been on it for a few years now. And I said at the outset, you've got a pretty good following, got 360,000 followers and 4.4 million likes of your videos. They don't tell you how many views you've had of your videos? They don't sort of say that publicly, so I don't know how many views you've had.
Oh, I suppose you could go through and add it up, but they're really vanity metrics in the end, aren't they? I've been very grateful to develop this community. I jumped on TikTok fairly early. When I first started and blew up in 2020, people think it was a COVID thing. Actually, my first viral video was the 27th of February, which was right before it all kicked off. So it was very, very lucky. And back in those days, I had a personal representative from TikTok on my WhatsApp on speed dial, where I could just ask them anything I wanted and they'd give me tips on what to post. And it was like having a friend. Like, that's how small it was, which is crazy to think to what it's grown into today.
Yeah. And so you've done a lot of videos, so we won't count views because I'd have to look at every video, and you've done a lot of them. But suffice to say that you've grown your platform on it and your account, and generating consistent views, consistent likes. 4.4 million of them. So clearly, your content is resonating with people. But from a top line, is it something you've enjoyed? Is it? Oh, clearly, you're in that performance mindset, which is very much TikTok. So you look like you're enjoying yourself when you do it.
Oh, thanks. Yes, I always do anything, especially on social media, for the joy of creation, not the validation of views. So I find the biggest mistake people make is they make content to get a certain result, whereas you've got to make the content for the joy of making the content. And TikTok's taught me some of the most random stuff will go viral, and other videos which you really enjoy making will not go so well. And then in terms of business, often the ones that aren't viewed as much will bring in people to the business as well. So it's not really a good way to necessarily always view success. As far as enjoying it, I definitely enjoyed it more a couple of years ago. So in 2020, a little bit into 2021, it was fun. There was more lip syncing. There was more little dances. It was more of a secret society in a way, and hardly anybody was on TikTok. Everyone's like, oh, what's TikTok? That kids singing and dancing thing. And meanwhile, I was having the best time over there. It was really great. Nowadays, TikTok's very mainstream. I mean, you can't really watch a news bulletin without even a TikTok being referenced. It's so mainstream that it's lost a lot of the magic I feel it had in the beginning. In saying that, I still love it as a platform, and it's a really great way to constantly be reaching new people.
But it's a good point you make. It grew so quickly. I mean, I was on the early days of Twitter, and for 4, 5, 6 years, that was that, as you say, that little community, and everyone was helping everyone. Very collegiate, which is very unlike Twitter today. And once it went super mainstream, it just took a lot longer to become that. Whereas with TikTok, of course, probably the pandemic certainly pushed things along because it was entertaining and fun, and we wanted a distraction, so that's probably been it. But it continues to grow. I've said in just some recent research that it's looked like going to overtake. It's on the cusp of overtaking Netflix in terms of video consumption in the US, which is crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's already ahead of user versus user, TikTok user versus YouTube user. People watch more video on TikTok than YouTube. So YouTube's still the big daddy because it's got a hell of a lot more users, but it just keeps continuing to grow.
Yeah, and I saw somewhere there's a new update on TikTok where you can post videos longer than 10 minutes. So they are looking to become more and more like YouTube.
Yeah, I want to get into that. Let's start there then, because length of time, I've tried to work this out and working with some people because, yes, if you're going to do a quick dance or a little snap or whatever in some, more the content creator, influencer type of space, that's easy to sort of get in the 10-second, 15-second window, which we know works pretty well. There's reasons to suggest that it's probably pushed out to up to 30 seconds now that work the best, but the shorter, still the better. But yeah, up to 10 minutes is it sort of started at 10 seconds, didn't it? Then it went to about 3 minutes and now 10 minutes. And it'll be interesting to see whether that actually takes off on the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. They're saying there's more of an appetite to be able to play something like a YouTube clip while you're doing something else. And I do have a podcast, so I might start considering putting the long form podcast maybe onto TikTok. However, what's been working quite well for me recently is repurposing my TikToks onto YouTube Shorts. They've been performing quite well, which has been an interesting thing to try out.
Yeah, well, it's and one thing it's about, like a lot of people started to put their videos from Instagram and everything onto TikTok, but it looks like it's better being TikTok first. You shoot for TikTok, and if that works for another platform, we do that. But I'll get into that in a tick. How long are your videos? Do you try and keep them to a certain length of time? What seems to work for you in terms of length of video?
Length, I don't think there's really a pattern. I like to keep them under a minute. And that's partly also because I repurpose to Instagram story and their limit is a minute. So I feel like that's a pretty good measure of what to do. Although, sometimes the videos that will go 110, 120 have performed really well. For me, it's not so much the length. It's my lifestyle stuff that seems to go better. My following's been quite interesting. So when I first started out, I did a lot of English language tips. Like, this is the difference between effect and affect and that kind of thing. And that's really what grew the following quite quickly. Yet there was a lot of people in the audience who thought I was an English teacher, which you can totally understand that because I was speaking about grammar. But that's really not my area. All right, I'm not an English teacher and it's not what I do. And then I did newsreader comedy. So I still do that from time to time because it's fun. So you have my hairbrush and I read song lyrics like a newsreader, or I make up a fictional Australian-based story. And so I got a lot of followers for that as well. And so it's interesting because when I speak about my core topic, which is my voice and expression, I don't know whether the algorithm gets confused or what it is, but often they don't perform very well because it's not in those areas that I used to post.
Right.
And then I'll do, like lately, the ones that have gone well was me talking about my boyfriend messing up one of my dresses by ironing it. And I had a makeup haul video where I showed what I bought at the makeup shop, which got 150,000 views. And, so it's really interesting because it kind of, to me, it breaks all the rules. They'll say you need to do education, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I do all those things. Yet I really find that just the random, hey, this is my life, they are always the ones that bring people into my world. And then they find out a bit more about what I do. Usually they come through TikTok and then we'll convert on Instagram.
That's good. That's interesting. Look, this is where I've tried to sort of also look at, and you're very similar to others that I've seen who are, let's say you're a professional on it and you run a business and it's a coaching business, versus, again, someone who's just a creator who's just doing stuff for fun. So let's put them to one side. But how do you, because some of the stuff you do is, around voice and speaking and tips and that, and other stuff is, as you say, quite random and quite personal sort of stuff as well. I don't know what the ratio is, but it is a really mixed bag. And again, as you said, that breaks the rules because a lot of times it has to be, within these themes and we stick to our lanes and all of that sort of stuff. But you've completely thrown that, kicked that to the curb. How do you struggle with that? What to do because you've inherently still running a business?
Well, this is the thing. It's like it can be both. So for me, when I'm having the most fun and doing random stuff, that's when people tend to resonate. I wouldn't say more or less, but like the makeup video, for example, I got 3 people from that video directly into my course, and it was the first time they'd ever seen me.
Wow.
And they said, I know, it was crazy. So it was like 3 people from a makeup video directly into a $2,000 course. And they said that I was like, oh, I liked the voiceover. And then I saw that you were a voice coach. And then I thought, yes, actually, I want some help with public speaking. And I'm so glad I found you. And then they followed me that way. And in the coaching industry, especially, it's not so much finding an expert. Google is an expert. You can find experts anywhere. It's not the age of, like in the age of information and knowledge, you can ask ChatGPT, all of that kind of thing. So what's people are looking for is that human connection. Who do I like? Who do I actually want to work with? And I think that a lot if I look at other speaking coaches, for example, there is no competition because I want people who want to work with me as a person. Like, of course, I'm an expert in my area, like a lot of other people. The point of difference is who I am and what my story is, which is something that no one can ever take. So I often think of that when I'm putting out my content. And people are like, so Sally, you share your whole life on social media. Well, there are still some things that I don't share. However, I would question, like, what is the issue? That we want to connect with people. And the more that we share about ourselves, the more they'll share about themselves. And then you can, really create that real connection.
I love that. I love that you said that because, there's a part of me has always said that, your killer app is your personality, yourself, and dare we say authenticity. And if people don't like that, well, then you don't want to work with them anyway. And that by being able to infuse your personality in with stuff that demonstrates what you're talking about, then that's good. But as you say, a bit of personality stuff brings people into the net, and then it's very easy when it's in your bio what it is you do, and your URL is, you've got a speaker in it, isn't it, or speaking in it. So it's not hard. People aren't that stupid, and if they are, you wouldn't want to work for them. They can find out what you do with a click of a mouse. So it is that personality first and that human connection. And I always feel we're heading more towards that in an AI world because it's the only thing that's going to set us apart. So it's more important today than ever before.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is when I work with speakers. It's really about the inspiration over the information. What can the human voice and the human soul give that AI can't? And this is why when they say, I want to stop saying and ah, I always say I'm not the and ah police. And we look at, are filler words helping you or hindering you? Yet I would always go for fluency over this so-called perfection, which doesn't exist. They did a study. It was an Australian palliative care nurse, actually. She interviewed lots of people in their dying days, and she wrote a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And it was really interesting. The top regret was, I wish I'd lived a life true to me, not what other people thought I should. And I find that interesting as well, because often I know you would hear this a lot as well, is should I be on TikTok? Should I be on Instagram? Should I do this? Should I do that? It's like, well, actually, really, you should do whatever it is you feel is right for you to do. Yeah. The second regret was I wish I hadn't worked so hard or so much. And the third one was I wish I'd had the courage to express myself. And they'd found that they just not said what they wanted to say, and that had then often manifested in physical problems in the body. And so with what I do is really focus on allowing the human spirit to be expressed and the human voice to be expressed, and make it more about that, because that is something that AI and ChatGPT will never be able to take away.
We hope. No, you're right, though. You're right, absolutely. And I think
We hope.
what I like about that, what I like about that is that you've got to enjoy content. A lot of people see content as a chore, and it's expression. Yes, it might be writing an article, but if you like writing articles or you like writing, blogging or podcasting or videos, do it. And, I always remember, and I've been of this belief, I think Gary Vaynerchuk once said it early days, that if you don't like, being on video, don't be on video, do what you feel comfortable doing. 100% agree with that, because if you hate video, don't do it. You're going to cock it up. Basically, you won't come across really good. But if you love it and you love, I've worked with clients who don't like writing. They don't want to write, but they love the camera or they love the microphone. They're up for a chat, and that it just comes through. It just comes through so well.
Yes, it's finding your channel of expression. So each of us will have a channel of expression that we prefer. So for us, and like me, it's definitely voice. So I've got a podcast. I love chatting to you. I've decided to do videos for my even weekly newsletters because I'm sick of writing stuff. I really like that. But for some other people, it might be writing. It might be photography. It might be dance. It might be painting. It might be, we've all got our different area of expression. And the main thing is that we know that and we're using it. So, for example, the video one, sure, if you genuinely don't want to be on video, great. However, I would ask what's holding you back. Is it because you're worried about what you look like or what you sound like or what people will think, in which case it's a beautiful invitation to work on getting your light out into the world and sharing your message and seeing, what are these reasons that we give ourselves for why we can't do certain things. This morning, I don't normally look like this, Trevor. I've just had professional makeup put on because I had a photo shoot this morning. I've got long lashes and everything. And we got so many great shots in under 2 hours, 3 outfit changes, lighting changes and everything. And the photographer, Kate, was like, whoa, that was so fast. It's because you're completely fine with making an idiot of yourself. That's what she said. And it's true. It was straight into the dancing and the movement and all of that. And it's the same with social media videos. People are holding themselves back because of that fear of, I don't want to look silly.
Yeah.
Yet you just kind of go out there and say, well, I am going to look silly and I don't care. Let's just do it anyway.
Yeah, you're right. It gets to the root of the problem. And is it imposter syndrome? Is it pursuit of perfection? Which are normally other, they're limiting beliefs basically that probably manifest themselves in different ways. So it's, and I think TikTok is a really good, testing ground to get out and try it, become an expert at short video, which is becoming a really important skill to have, I think, to be able to communicate within 30 seconds or a minute or 15 seconds is good to have. It's a good skill, and TikTok, I think, teaches you to do that.
Oh, 100%. It's been making content has been the best way to help refine messaging. Because if you can't make your content in short form, you've got to ask yourself, okay, I think Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. So it's really great invitation. When people say, it's too complicated to explain, well, that's not on me as the receiver. That's on you as the explainer to be able to understand it well enough that you can simplify it.
I think, the social media norms still apply. I mean, if you're serious about it, building a platform across multiple channels and you've got X amount of time and all of that sort of stuff, if your audience is not on TikTok, that probably frees you up. If you still want to be on TikTok, go nuts. If your audience is not on it, then, you might concentrate elsewhere. But again, if you go on it, and it could be about you like coffee, or you could be like vinyl records, or, what is that passion that you want? That could be like a sidebar to your professional you, and it can make a big difference.
Yeah, and it's also the less we can separate the professional us from the real us, the better, because there's not really that divide. Also with TikTok, people are on there for fun. There's probably some people that are sitting in bed scrolling LinkedIn for fun, but generally LinkedIn is a work-related platform generally, whereas TikTok is the switch off, the fun place. And so if you can be there when your audience is in that enjoyment mode, you can make that better connection because they're not thinking that they're being pitched to or sold to. And that's why it has changed a little bit, because there is a little bit more of that on TikTok these days. And it's also like looking at the demographics. For so long, there was this myth that it was an app for kids. The fastest growing demographic on there, I believe, is, 30 to 45.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of belief that the audience isn't on there when actually a lot of the audience might be. It depends what you sell as well. And some of the most bizarre stuff goes viral on there. Hedge cutting and pool cleaning and tiling, all of that stuff is just so popular on there.
We've had previously on the show Ben Cusack, who is a government grant specialist, and he's on TikTok, and his government grant stuff didn't do too well on TikTok, but he loves mountain bike riding, and he's just done these raw videos around mountain bike riding, and he's absolutely, killing it. So same thing, exactly the same thing. And what he said was that it's really helped him for his other videos. So that's that correlation between just getting out and doing it. And if there's a platform you can stuff up on, TikTok is the one to do it. That's the beauty of it. And then you will see that if next time you go and do a live stream on LinkedIn, you're going to be a much better performer.
Oh, it's so right. I practiced going live so much on TikTok. In the early days, I'd go live on there, and often there'd be sometimes it's hardly anybody, sometimes a lot of people, yet it really felt like this place that nobody who I ever knew was ever going to be on there in the beginning. So I was able to really practice speaking freely, and I had no fear putting it on. I didn't need to I think TikTok's also given us great permission to show up as we are. So you can show up in your gym gear or in your, you don't need to look a certain way or sound a certain way. And actually the videos that are too, you want good lighting, but like the ones just walking down the street tend to work. You don't have to always have it looking perfect. So there's that real permission to be real. Like I mentioned, I had a photo shoot this morning. Yeah, I'll use it here and there on social media, but it's mainly for my website and that kind of thing, because really, really polished images don't go that well. Like actually I'll make a TikTok this afternoon showing a behind the scenes, and the behind the scenes of the photo shoot is what people are more interested in than the actual result of the shoot.
Yes. And then, you do here are some of the shots for LinkedIn, and so this is the key, is it's not the same content across absolutely everything you do, but a little bit more raw on TikTok. And that's why if you could take that a little bit more rawness onto other platforms too, I think that's not too bad. It's because from what I've when I've spoken to people, they're perfect. The videos they take all the time to produce on TikTok do the worst because they're overproduced.
Exactly. I posted a TikTok where I was giving definitions of Australian slang words, and I decided to just put a few red herrings there. Like they said, what's a servo? I said, it's the start of a tennis match. And I was just like having a bit of fun with it. Anyway, I put that on LinkedIn, and somebody wrote, wow, I'm always impressed by how vulnerable you are and how real you are, because I put a bit about my upbringing and that in there. And I thought, oh my God, I actually keep it above board for LinkedIn. You should see what I post on TikTok and Instagram. And that's why on LinkedIn actually is a really good opportunity to have cut through, because anything that's even remotely out there seems to get traction.
It does indeed. So we've talked about the content that you put in and what you see works, and it's as you say, it's a little bit hard to judge when you're doing so many videos, and sometimes, as you said, sometimes the more, let's put it, the corporate-y business type content might not get as many views potentially, but are driving traffic, which I'm really interested to hear, to hear you say that. And because a lot of people say, well, social media doesn't work, and it doesn't drive leads, and I think when you try for it to drive leads, that's when it doesn't work. And when you're just being yourself and you're showing up and you're fronting up and you're adding a bit of inspo and info, that attracts the right people to you.
Oh, look, it depends on your strategy, but I can say I am on average, about 2 podcasts a week. I have never pitched to be on a podcast. Every single podcast request has been organic through seeing me on social media.
Like this one?
And like this one, yeah. The business is coming up to 5 years, and like it's a more than $500,000 business, and I have spent a tiny amount here and there on ads. It's been all organic, word of mouth. And every single day I have people saying, oh, Sal, I've been following you on social media for a few years. Yeah. So it is the long game.
Oh, yeah.
Yet every single day, I would say that my business has been built on organic social media. And I don't even have that many followers. Like Instagram, I'm only up to about 5,000. And LinkedIn, I think it's about 11,000 or so. Yet it's that consistency in posting and that continual showing up. And there's a lot of people on social that watch but don't engage. I'm learning that as well. And
on LinkedIn, it's something like 95% will never engage until they engage you, of course, but they won't engage officially on content by liking or commenting or sharing.
The people who do, they've already made their decision. They say, oh, I've been following you for a while. What do you recommend? I've got this is, let's do this. Okay, great.
Yeah. They lurk and they watch.
Yeah. But again, social media, there's so many strategies in business. So you can go down so many different ways. I would just say for me, though, social media has definitely been a huge, huge driver. And it also hasn't been an overnight thing. So even when I was in my old job in PR, I was posting on LinkedIn pretty consistently. Yep. And then once I started my business, I mean, really, it's been posting on every single platform every single day for 4.5 years. And in the heat of TikTok, it was I was posting 3 to 5 TikToks a day. I mean, it was COVID. I was pretty bored. I was like, having fun with it. The sheer volume of it helps with visibility.
100%. And so when you say that I've been watching on social media, is that evenly split across them, or they just say social media and whatever that means for them?
It's generally LinkedIn. Yeah. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while. Although sometimes it's hard to know what people's entry point is because they might come in one end and then go into the email list and it'd be that way.
And with did I see right with some of the videos on LinkedIn are on TikTok? Have you taken any TikTok onto LinkedIn, just being judicious with it? Yeah.
Yeah. So a fair few. So I take the watermark off and then I post to LinkedIn. I mean, generally if you post organically to any platform, it performs better.
Yep.
However, I like putting my TikToks on LinkedIn because I really like showing who I am. I don't want people thinking, oh, I'm looking for a very corporate, conservative speaking coach, because that's not what they're going to get. So I'd rather them see on social media what I'm like and then work with me if they want to. So being visible on social media with who you are and what you're about, you become a magnet where you repel those who are not into you and you attract those who are. And so it makes everything that happens afterwards in the other side of your business, the sales process, really, really smooth because people are making that decision up front without you having to have conversations even sometimes.
I just got very interested too on how you come up with your ideas and given I think you said during COVID you were doing 3 to 5 videos a day on TikTok, which is a lot. It sounds like you've pulled back a little bit since then. But how do you come up with the ideas? Have you got a sort of a frequency now, or is it kind of I've got some ideas, I'm random, just do it? How do you approach that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have for many years been like, oh, I've got a batch. You've got to have your batching day and you've got to schedule, but it's just not been my style. And there'll be times when I'm in a creative mood and I'll make a whole few and put them in the drafts. But generally, I am constantly inspired by the world around me. And because I'm coaching all day as well, like I'm working with people in courses and one-on-one and inquiries, I'm never short of an idea of what to post because of how many questions I'm constantly getting.
Yeah. So, well, that's good. So the questions, where do they come from? Being interactive, is that sort of they hit you on other social channels, or everything that you think about in TikTok is coming through TikTok, or you?
It could be comments on there. It could be generally inquiries. So before this interview, somebody reached out because they've been told that they can't be understood in meetings, that they mumble too much. and they can't be understood and their voice is very low. So I'm like, okay, great. I can easily do a video about stopping mumbling. I haven't, but I mean, that's an idea. Yeah. And then I've got the photo shoot that I did this morning. I'll do a sort of a day in the life. And I feel like I'm just constantly looking for inspiration. Every single TikTok I watch is an inspiration for one of my own, whether it's the use of the audio, whether it's the style, whether it's the way it was filmed.
Yep.
And I find that the inspiration comes when you're in that right flow. So as you were saying earlier, when people go, oh, it's a chore. If content creation is a chore, you're going to block off that creativity thing. So if I really need creativity, I'll go for a walk or I'll go outside or take a break,
Is that, and having a curious nature, I mean, coming through the media, you know, journalists are curious beings anyway. And I'm a great believer that's one of the best skills you can have or develop. You probably don't just
curiosity,
you have to develop it, but curiosity is awesome. And once you go down this path, I've found whether it's your blogging or your podcasting or whatever, you see the ideas everywhere because you're just open to it. And when you're open to the ideas, that's when they'll come to you. But if you're sort of closed off and you're not doing anything, then that's when it can become a chore because you're looking at the blank page all the time.
Absolutely. And that's when you've got to ask yourself, okay, what is this fire in my belly and what is this message I really want to share to the world? Because when you're seeking just the likes and the virality, it's often won't come that way. But stepping back and saying, what do I want to speak about? And, I could have continued growing and growing and growing by doing grammar style videos.
Yep.
For example. But I don't know, it doesn't really light me up. Like, I'm actually not that worried if somebody sends me an email with a typo or if you make a grammar mistake. Like, it's not something I'm really passionate about. So I'm happy to leave that content behind. And even some of the newsreader comedy, I haven't done it for a while because I just haven't felt inspired to, even though I know that is always the stuff that goes more viral.
Yeah, and it's a good point you make, is how many people, particularly, I guess, the content creators out there who want to be influencers and stuff, and they find that something works, so they do more of it, but that doesn't necessarily make it right. Just because something worked doesn't mean you should be doing it. And how many times do we see that happen? And I think that, being true to yourself and understanding, as you said, understanding your message, and what it is you're trying to sort of get out there into the world is the important one. And expression of yourself, a true expression of your personality.
And it's easier being a coach than a content creator. So the content creators who are making brand deals, and the brand deals are based on their engagement and their views. They're based on those metrics. There's, of course, a lot more pressure. I've had some people reach out saying, oh, do you want to work with this brand? If I've liked it, I've stuck, right? Okay, send it through, I'll make a video. If not, I just quote them my one-on-one rate per post. And they're normally like, oh, no way. But it doesn't matter for me, because I've got so much in I don't need to be spruiking shampoo for $50 a post, you know what I mean? And so I can have that freedom of putting out content that I want to. I really do feel for the content creators coming through, especially the young ones who they have to worry about those metrics because that is what they're getting paid on.
Yeah, and that's what I work with, subject matter leaders and, experts and entrepreneurs and, people who run businesses and they know what they're wanting to do, and they've got to kind of stick to their guns, and they use content for a different reason than a content creator. And I'm always trying to, I look at it, the reputation economy, which is people that I just spoke about, and then the creator economy, and that's the people who need the way they make the money is they build their audience first and then work out ways to monetize that audience, which is a little bit different than I'm already making money. I'm doing content because I want to start a movement or educate people on this or inspire people to think bigger or whatever it is. And there's a subtle difference. But we can look at the content creators to gain inspiration because they're doing a lot of content and they're pretty much at the cutting edge of what's going on. So it's not an either or. It's just where can we get inspiration from and how can we put our best foot forward?
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
So you help people find their voice, express their voice, There's a saying, I'm going to have to it's on your website, which I love. Nobody ever changed the world by staying quiet. I love that. What's your thinking around people who, to get them up and out there and to inspire them to be bigger, play bigger, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I have it on the website because I really want people to come from a place of true purpose. And this is something I work with my clients on as well. Is, what is the reason that you want to speak with more confidently? What is the reason you want your voice to be heard? Which, I don't think it's great in some circumstances when the company pays for somebody to come and see me, and then by the end of the sessions they realise they hate their job. It's not to do with their communication, it's that they're talking about something they're not passionate about with people that are really toxic and they don't care. I'm like, it's not your voice. It's like, where you're in an environment where you can't thrive. So that's where we start, because that's where the voice is the organ of the soul. And if we're not speaking about something that really lights us up, then it's really difficult to have that connection and be expressive. And there'll be people who say, oh, Sal, I have a really dry, boring topic. Accounting, for example. I'll pick on accounting. They'll often say it's really dry and boring. And I say, well, why are you an accountant? Like, why do you, which is so funny because it has a totally different meaning on TikTok. But why do you do that? And they say, oh, well, because of X, Y, Z. I really like it. It's like, well, don't let the rest of society make you believe that something that you're passionate about and you love and it's really important is dry and boring. Mm. You find that purpose and you make it exciting by the way you feel about it.
So is that a sort of, I guess, the transformation that comes from the heart, their purpose, that side of things? And what did you say? The voice is the organ of the soul. I love that. If I got that right. I like that.
Nailed it, Trevor. Yes.
I'll just go back. I hope I got that right. And that, and by then it's how you express that, and then it's, you're not even thinking about TikTok or anything at that point, are you? It's just how do you express yourself, and then that will manifest itself in many different ways depending on whether you want to get up and speak or you live stream. And chances are today it's multi-channel anyway, so your voice and your story should be consistent across all the various channels.
Yeah, and the virtual stage, there is no better time to share your message with so many people. Wi-Fi was invented in 1997. Right, and Wi-Fi was only invented in 1997, and so it's such a new thing, and we've got this, and it's largely free as well. So you pay for your internet connection, yet the social media platforms and podcasting and all of that, you can do it for free. So you've got this really great opportunity to amplify your message with people that may never before have heard it. And that's what's really kept me going with the TikTok. Not so much now, but during COVID, I would get messages on a daily basis from kids doing a school speech in the middle of America somewhere, saying, I've been watching all your videos and I feel really confident about my school speech today. I didn't even know that somebody did what you do. And so the ability to have that far-reaching impact is so beautiful and something that we should feel really grateful for. Gone are the days when you have to go out in the street with the megaphone like the town crier for anybody to know what you did.
Indeed. And I love the digital serendipity. I love hearing those stories because, the hardcore funnel junkies will say, and the growth hackers will say, yeah, but did it sell? We're probably over those sorts of philosophies, and I'm the digital serendipity and the magic that can happen from putting yourself out there, having a voice, being true to who you are, and educating, inspiring, entertaining, all the above. That's when you get found, and that's when the opportunities come. If you're a hidden secret. Can you be a secret that's not hidden? No. When you're the best secret in your industry, then you'll miss out on opportunities. You need to be an active participant in the reputation economy today if you want access to those opportunities.
Absolutely, that resonates with me a lot because I have potentially struggled to get the funnel right. I'm constantly working on what's the top of funnel and how are people coming through and what's the marketing machine exactly as you're describing. Yet I would rather be having some issues with the marketing and be really, really passionate and strong in who I am and how I can serve. You know, because there's a few organizations out there which are the opposite, where they've got that marketing machine down pat, but where's the heart? Where's that true drive? Where's that real purpose to serve just for the sake of serving?
Yeah. And as you say,
if we lead with that, then people can feel that, and we can't go wrong, I believe.
Yeah. And as we said earlier about AI and bots and all of that sort of stuff, I mean, this is your greatest weapon. Your voice is your greatest weapon, and your personality and your authenticity and what you put out in the world and your message and your story. So there's lots of good things there. This has been terrific. This time has absolutely flown. I've really enjoyed it. I knew we were going to start on TikTok and diverge into other topics, but let's tie it back up a bow with TikTok anyway. What would you, for someone who is pretty keen to get on it, they're going to be the people who listen to this show, hopefully are speakers, consultants, coaches. They run expertise-based businesses, service-based businesses. So there's going to be maybe a commercial element. But with that in mind, how would you advise people to sort of approach if they want to have a crack at TikTok? How do they start? What's the best way to do it?
Yeah, there's lots of different ways. I'd love to share a tip from Sade Zarai, who is a performance coach who really blew up on TikTok. Like, she's over a couple of million now. And this is what she did in the beginning. She batch made about 40 videos. And she shared this as well. She batch made about 40 videos, and then they would just go out each day. And don't quote me on this, Sade, if you're listening, it's close. It wasn't until video 20 something that went viral. That really took off. And what I loved about that approach is that if you put one video out, flops. The second video flops. You know, you can get really disheartened because you're like, oh my God, what is the point of this? Whereas that strategy of, you know what, I'm going to go for 40 days, and you make all that content and you just let it run and then see if one hits. I thought that was a really smart strategy.
Yeah, and that's akin, if you want to look at it for other platforms. You know, people said, going to do a post on LinkedIn every day or every work day for the year, or people who are going to do a live stream on Instagram once a week for the year or something like that. It's that committing to a number and not worrying therefore about what happens in between. But just keep going, because that's when the magic happens, is when you actually show up and you almost demand people take you seriously.
Yeah, social media is a lot like hosting your own party, right? So people say, what will people think? On your social channel, you are at your own party. And if someone comes to the door, welcome them in. If you don't really like the energy someone brings or what they say, you can kick them out. And if no one shows up, you can still have a fantastic party for one. So that's the approach I like to take. And I've used that in times when no one has showed up to my live streams. Party for one. I've used that in terms of, negative comments. No thanks. You're not welcome at this party. Positive comments. Great. Come on in. And you can really then not think that you're going out into the world and imposing anything on anyone else. You are raving in your own party, and people choose to be part of it. Yeah, nice. I like it. Sally, thank you very much. Where's the best place people could find you online? Obviously TikTok, but anywhere else? TikTok for viewing. However, I have the inbox function on there is a little bit non-user friendly, so I wouldn't DM me on there. If you'd like to DM me, I'd love to hear from you. Is on LinkedIn or Instagram. DM would be the best place, and I'm at Sally Prosser Voice.
Okay, thank you very much, Sally.
Thank you so much.